The nurse placed the clipboard beside the hospital bed and asked one simple question. Who should we call if something happens to you? The woman lying under the thin white blanket slowly opened her eyes. Only an hour earlier, she had been the strongest person in the office, the boss everyone feared, the woman who rarely smiled and never seemed to need anyone. Now her face was pale, her voice weak. She looked through the glass wall of the emergency room. A man stood outside with dried blood on the sleeve of his work shirt. He was still holding her handbag because no one had thought to take it from him. The nurse followed her eyes. Ma'am, your emergency contact. Her hand trembled as she picked up the pen. Then she wrote a name, Daniel Carter. The nurse glanced at the form. Your husband. The woman stared at the man outside. No, she swallowed. He's my employee. What the nurse didn't know was that Daniel was also a single father who had nearly lost his job that same morning. And before the night was over, the name written on that hospital form would change both of their lives. Daniel Carter was 36 years old and raising 2 children alone. His daughter Lily was 9. His son Noah was 6. They lived in a small second-floor apartment above a laundromat on the edge of town. It wasn't a beautiful place. The kitchen tiles were cracked. The heater made a clicking sound before it worked. And every time someone downstairs slammed the laundromat door, their living room windows shook. But Daniel tried hard to make it feel like home. Every morning began the same way. Dad, Noah used all the cereal. I did not. You poured half the box into your bowl. Daniel stood at the stove making scrambled eggs while trying to iron Lily's school shirt with one hand. Everybody relax, he said. Nobody is going to school hungry. Noah appeared in the kitchen wearing one sock. Where's my other one? Daniel looked at him. You had to when you went to bed. No, I didn't. You definitely did. Lily rolled her eyes. He probably kicked it into another country. For a moment, Daniel laughed. Those little moments kept him going. Their mother, Emily, had died 3 years earlier after a long illness. Since then, Daniel had learned how to pack lunches, braid hair badly, remember school projects at the last minute, clean vomit at 2 in the morning, and smile even when he was terrified about money. He worked as a facilities coordinator for a large property company called Westbridge Development. The pay wasn't great, but the health insurance mattered. So did the regular hours. At least they were supposed to be regular recently. That had changed. The company had hired a new regional director. Her name was Claire Bennett. Claire was 40, sharp, organized, and demanding. She had a reputation for expecting everything to be perfect. If a report was due at 5, she wanted it at 4-30. If a repair took 2 days, she wanted to know why it hadn't taken one. Daniel respected her work ethic, but Claire did not understand his life. Their problems started on a Tuesday morning. Noah had developed a fever overnight. Daniel sat beside his son's bed at 5:30 a.m., touching the back of his neck. You're burning up, buddy. Noah opened tired eyes. Can I still go to school? No, but you have work. Daniel forced a smile. Figure it out. He always said that I'll figure it out. Sometimes he had no idea how. He called 3 people. His neighbor was already working. His sister lived 40 minutes away and had an early shift at the hospital. The babysitter he sometimes used couldn't come until noon. Daniel finally called the office. Claire, answered Bennett. Ms. Bennett, it's Daniel. There was a pause. What's wrong? My son is sick. I may be a few hours late. Another pause. Daniel could hear typing. Double quotes. Daniel, this is your 3rd schedule issue this month. I know, you left early last Thursday. My daughter's school called. She fell during gym, and the week before, the sitter cancelled. Claire, beside, we all have personal responsibilities. Daniel looked toward Noah's bedroom. I understand. I need employees I can depend on. The words hurt more than Daniel expected. He lowered his voice. You can depend on me. Then be here by 10. I'll try. 10. Daniel, the call ended. Daniel stood in the kitchen staring at his phone. Lily had heard enough to understand. Are you going to get fired? Daniel looked at her immediately. No, she didn't believe him. Neither did he. By now, his sister had arrived to stay with Noah. Daniel reached the office at 10:17. Claire was waiting. She didn't yell. That almost made it worse. She called him into her office and closed the door. Sit. Daniel sat. Claire folded her hands. You're good at your job. Thank you, but good work doesn't help me when you're not here. Daniel took a slow breath. My children only have me. Claire's expression changed slightly, but she stayed firm. I'm sorry about your situation. Daniel, I hated that phrase. His situation. As if Lily and Noah were a problem he carried around. Claire continued. But I have a business to run. I know. I'm putting you on a final attendance warning. Daniel stared at the paper she pushed toward him. One more serious incident could mean termination. He thought about rent. Food. School. Shoes. Health insurance. He signed it. Evening. He didn't tell the children he made spaghetti and helped Lily with fractions. Later, after both children were asleep, he opened his banking app. His checking account held $412. Rent was due in 6 days. The electric bill was already late. Daniel leaned back in the chair and covered his face. On the refrigerator was a drawing Noah had made, 3 stick figures holding hands. Above them, in uneven letters, he had written, "My family is strong." Daniel stared at it for a long time. Then he whispered, "I'm trying, buddy." The next morning, he arrived at work 30 minutes early. He stayed through lunch. He skipped to calls from Lily's with school because they were only about an upcoming parent meeting. Told himself he could not make another mistake. For the next week, Daniel became almost invisible. He worked, he went home, he took care of the children, then he did it again. Claire noticed one Friday evening, nearly everyone had left the office. Daniel was checking a maintenance request on the 5th floor when he saw Claire walking toward the elevator. She looked different. Tired. One hand was pressed against the wall. "Miss Bennett, I'm fine." She took another step, then stopped. Daniel frowned. "You don't look fine." Claire reached for the elevator button. "I skipped lunch. I just need to go home." The elevator doors opened. She stepped inside. Daniel followed. Claire looked at him. "You're going to the lobby." "I am now." She almost smiled. Then her knees gave way. Daniel caught her before her head hit the floor. "Claire." Her body went limp in his arms. For one terrible second, Daniel thought she had stopped breathing. Then she gasped. Her eyes opened but seemed unfocused. "My chest." Daniel's fear changed instantly into action. He pressed the emergency stop, called 911, and spoke clearly to the dispatcher. "My boss collapsed. She's conscious but confused. She says her chest hurts." The dispatcher told him an ambulance was on the way. Claire grabbed Daniel's wrist. Don't what? Ambulance?" "Claire, you collapsed. Too much what?" She closed her eyes. Daniel didn't know whether she meant cost, attention, or fear. He didn't care. When the elevator opened, he helped the paramedics. Claire's breathing became worse. One of the paramedics looked at Daniel. "Are you family?" "No." "Can you follow us? She keeps asking you not to leave." Daniel froze. His first thought was Lily and Noah. He checked the time, 6:14 p.m. He was supposed to pick them up from his sister's apartment at 7. Pulled out his phone. His sister answered. "Hey Rachel, I need a favor." "What happened?" "My boss collapsed. I'm going to the hospital." There was silence. "The boss who gave you the warning?" "Yes, Daniel. I know." He looked toward the ambulance, "But she's alone." Rachel sighed. "I'll keep the kids." Daniel closed his eyes. "Thank you." Then he climbed into his old car and followed the ambulance through the city, who had no idea that by doing so, he was about to discover something about Claire Bennett that no employee in the company knew. At the emergency room, Daniel waited under bright lights while doctors examined Claire. 30 minutes passed, then 40-5. He should have gone home. He had already done enough, but every time he stood to leave, he remembered the way Claire had grabbed his wrist in the elevator. "Don't leave." So he stayed. At 7:26, a nurse approached him. "Daniel," he stood. "Yes, she's stable. The doctor believes she had a severe panic-related cardiac episode combined with exhaustion and dehydration. They're running more tests." Daniel exhaled. "Can I see her?" The nurse studied him. "Are you family?" "No. I worked for her." The nurse looked surprised. "She asked whether you were still here." Daniel entered the room. Claire looked small beneath a hospital blanket. Her hair, usually perfectly arranged, was loose around her face. Her phone and handbag rested on the chair. Daniel stood near the door. "You scared?" "Everybody." Claire gave a weak smile. "I scared myself. The doctor says you need rest. I heard you also need to eat." She looked at him. "You sound like my mother." Daniel pulled the chair closer. "Your mother sounds smart." The smile disappeared. "My mother died 8 years ago." Daniel lowered his eyes. "Sorry, it's okay." For a few seconds, the room was quiet. Then Claire asked, "Why are you still here?" Daniel looked confused. "You asked me to stay. I was barely conscious." Still asked. Claire looked toward the ceiling. "You have children there with my sister. Should go to them." "I will." "Then go." Daniel stood, but before he reached the door, Claire spoke again. "Daniel." He turned. "Thank you." It was the first time who had ever heard her voice without authority in it. "Just gratitude." Daniel nodded. "You're welcome." A nurse entered carrying paperwork. "Just need to update a few things." Daniel moved toward the door. Again, then the nurse asked Claire for an emergency contact. Claire stayed silent. "Parent, sibling, partner?" The nurse asked. "No." "Close friend?" Claire looked uncomfortable. Nurse waited. "Someone we can contact if your condition changes." Claire slowly picked up the pen. Eyes moved toward Daniel. Then she wrote his name. Daniel noticed. So did the nurse. "Your husband?" "No." Claire's voice was quiet. "He's my employee." Daniel stared at her. "Claire." She seemed embarrassed. "I didn't know who else to write." Those words stayed with him. "I didn't know who else to write." For years, Daniel had thought Claire had everything: a high salary, a luxury car, a large home, authority, confidence. But standing in that hospital room, he suddenly realized something. She had nobody. Daniel went home after 9. Lily and Noah were asleep at Rachel's apartment, so he carried Noah to the car and gently woke Lily. On the drive home, Lily rubbed her eyes. "Is your boss okay?" "I think so." The mean one. Daniel glanced at her in the mirror. She's not mean. You said she gave you a warning. She did. That's mean. Daniel smiled slightly. People can make hard decisions without being bad people. Lily thought about that. Did you save her? I helped. Like a superhero. No cape still counts. The next morning, Daniel received a text. It was Claire. Thank you again. I owe you an apology to. Daniel read it twice. He typed, you don't owe me anything. Just rest. Her reply came a minute later. That wasn't about the hospital. Daniel frowned. On Monday, Claire was still absent. On Tuesday, Daniel was called into human resources. His stomach tightened immediately. He assumed the worst. Maybe the hospital situation had somehow caused a problem. He entered the meeting room. The HR manager, Monica, was sitting there. Daniel, have a seat. He sat. She placed his attendance warning on the table. Daniel's chest tightened. Monica tore it in half. Daniel blinked. What? Ms. Bennett asked that it be withdrawn. Daniel stared at her. Why? She reviewed the circumstances behind each attendance incident. Daniel said nothing. Monica continued. Your performance record is excellent. Your issues were all connected to emergency childcare situations. We should have worked with you sooner. Daniel almost laughed from disbelief. So I'm not being fired? No. The tension left his shoulders so quickly that he had to lean back. Monica smiled. Actually, we're discussing a flexible schedule for you. Daniel looked down. For months, he had been carrying fear every day. Now, suddenly, he could breathe. Claire returned to work the following week. She looked healthier, though slightly uncomfortable when people asked too many questions. Daniel didn't treat her differently. That seemed to matter to her. One afternoon, she stopped by his desk. My office. When you have a minute. Daniel entered 5 minutes later. Claire, close the door. I owe you an explanation. You don't. I think I do. She sat down. My father built part of this company. Daniel hadn't known that he believed work came before everything. Claire continued. Birthdays, vacations, illness, family. She can't have looked at the window. I spent my whole life trying to prove I deserved my position and wasn't here because of him. Daniel listened quietly. So I became the person who never missed work, never asked for help, never admitted I was tired. She gave a small, unhappy laugh. And then I collapsed in an elevator. Daniel smiled. Not your best meeting. No. Claire became serious. When you told me your children only have you, I heard an excuse. Daniel looked at her. But at the hospital I realized something. What? When they asked me who I had no answer. Daniel remembered the form. Claire's voice softened. You had people waiting for you at home. I had an empty house. Daniel didn't know what to say. Claire looked embarrassed. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I know I'm telling you because I judged your priorities without understanding them. Daniel nodded. Double quotes. Thank you. Then Claire pushed a folder to him. Inside was a proposal of promotion facilities. Operations supervisor. Higher salary. Flexible. Arrival window. 2 work from home administrative days each month. Daniel looked up. I don't understand. You've been doing half of this job already. Is this because of the hospital? No. Claire met his eyes. The hospital made me look at your record instead of your attendance sheet. Daniel stared at the salary. It would change everything. Might make them rich, not solve every problem, but it could mean no more choosing between the electric bill and groceries. It could mean replacing Lily's worn shoes before they had holes. It could mean breathing then. Daniel saw one detail. The position involved emergency weekend availability. His smile faded. Claire noticed. What? Daniel closed the folder. I can't accept this. Claire looked stunned. Why? My kids, we can arrange support. You can arrange work support, not a father. Claire leaned back. Daniel, it's a significant increase. I know, and you're turning it down. Daniel thought about his children waiting at school pickups, soccer games, bedtime. He thought about how easily money could become the reason he was never home. I spent 3 years telling Lily and Noah that they still had one parent who would show up. His voice cracked slightly. I can't take a job that turns that into a lie. Claire stared at him. Daniel stood. Thank you for believing I can do it. He placed the folder on her desk. But I can't. He walked out believing he had just turned down the best financial opportunity of his life that evening. Things became worse when he arrived home. An envelope was taped to his apartment. Final rent notice. Daniel stood in the hallway reading it. A rent increase would to begin the following month. $180 more. He went inside without speaking. Lily noticed immediately. What happened? Nothing. She crossed her arms. You tell us not to lie. Daniel looked at her. Sometimes he forgot she was only 9. He sat at the kitchen table. Our rent is going up. Are we moving? Noah appeared from the bedroom. Moving where? Daniel looked at both children. I don't know. Noah's eyes filled with fear. Can we take Mom's picture? Daniel's heart broke. Of course we can take Mom's picture. And my dinosaur blanket. Everything that matters comes with us. Lily quietly asked, did you lose your job? No. Then why are we poor? The question was innocent. That made it hurt more. Daniel looked down at his hands. We're not poor in every way. That means yes, Lily whispered. Daniel wanted to tell her everything would be fine instead. For once he told the truth. I'm trying to figure it out. That night, after the children went to bed, Daniel sat alone at the table. The promotion folder was not there. The extra money was not coming. The rent increase was. He wondered whether he had made the wrong decision. Then his phone rang. Claire. He almost didn't answer. Finally, he did. Hello, Daniel, I need to ask you something. He rubbed his eyes. Okay, what would make the supervisor job possible for you? Daniel was quiet. I already told you. No, you told me what makes the current version impossible. He sat up. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe the job is wrong. Not your decision. Daniel didn't speak. Claire continued. What do you actually need? Daniel looked toward his children's bedroom. Then he answered with complete honesty. I need to be a father first. There was silence. Then Claire said, let me work on that. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt something he had almost stopped allowing himself to feel. Hope. 3 days later, Daniel was called into another meeting. Claire was there, so was Monica from Human Resources. A new folder sat on the table. Daniel remained standing. What is this? Claire smiled. A better job description. Daniel opened it. The weekend emergency requirement was gone. Instead, the company would create a rotating on-call system. Among 4 supervisors, Daniel would be responsible for one scheduled weekend every 2 months if a childcare emergency occurred. Another supervisor could trade shifts. His normal hours would end at 4:30 p.m., allowing him to pick up his children. Some administrative work could be completed from home. The salary stayed the same as the original promotion. Daniel read the page slowly. You changed the position. Claire shook her head. We fixed it for me. For whoever has this job. Daniel looked up. Claire continued. You weren't the only employee struggling. You were just the first one who made me pay attention. Monica explained that the company was also creating clearer emergency family policies for several departments. Not unlimited time off, not special treatment, just reasonable flexibility for real life. Daniel sat down. He felt strangely emotional. For years, he had been trying to force his life into workplaces built as if employees had no children, no sick parents, no emergencies, and no lives outside the building. Now, one small thing had changed because someone finally listened. Claire pushed a pen toward him. So, Daniel smiled. When do I start? 2 months later, Daniel's life was still busy. Noah still lost socks. Lily still remembered school projects at 9 p.m. the night before they were due. Bills still arrived. The old car still made a terrible sound when the air conditioning started, but things were different. Daniel wasn't constantly afraid. The raise allowed him to handle the rent increase. He paid off the overdue electricity bill. He started putting $50 from each paycheck into savings. It wasn't much to Daniel. It felt enormous. One Friday afternoon, Claire visited the building where Daniel now supervised the maintenance team. She found him standing beside an employee named Marcus. Marcus looked nervous. My daughter's daycare called. Marcus explained. She's throwing up. I know I'm supposed to finish the inspection, but Daniel held up a hand. Go. Marcus blinked. What? Go get your daughter. I can come back later. No, I'll finish it. Marcus looked at Claire, clearly worried about the regional director standing nearby. Claire simply said, drive safely. Marcus left. Daniel looked at her. You've changed. Claire smiled. So have you? No, I haven't. Yes, you have. You don't look terrified every time your phone rings. Daniel laughed. That's fair. Claire had changed. In other ways too. She started leaving the office before 8 at night. She reconnected with her younger sister, whom she hadn't visited in nearly 2 years. She began eating lunch away from her desk. Nothing dramatic, just small choices. But small choices had built both of their old lives. Now small choices were building better ones. One Saturday morning, Daniel took Lily and Noah to a community park. Lily was learning to ride a bicycle without training wheels. Daniel ran beside her. Don't let go. I'm not letting go. Promise. Promise. Noah shouted from the sidewalk. She's going to crash. Thank you for the confidence. Lily yelled. Daniel laughed. Then, slowly, he removed one hand from the bicycle, then the other. Lily kept riding for several seconds. She didn't realize. Then she looked behind her. Dad. Daniel raised both hands. You're doing it. Her fear turned into pure joy. I'm doing it. She rode another 20 feet before falling into the grass. Daniel rushed over. Lily sat up laughing. I did it. He hugged her. Yes, you did. Noah jumped on both of them. Me next. Daniel looked at his children. Sunlight came through the trees. Lily's knee was dirty. Noah was missing a shoelace. Their life was still imperfect. But Daniel realized that he had spent so much time worrying about giving his children a better life that he sometimes forgot what they needed most. Him. Not a perfect house. Not expensive clothes. Not a father who never struggled. They needed a father who came back. A father who listened. A father who kept choosing them. Monday morning, Daniel arrived at work and found an envelope on his desk. There was no company logo, just his name. Inside was a copy of something he immediately recognized. The emergency contact form from the hospital. Claire had crossed out his name under it. She had written another name. Sarah Bennett. Sister, there was a small note attached. You told me people can make hard decisions without being bad people. You are right. You also reminded me that success means very little if there is nobody you can call when life falls apart. I called my sister. Thank you. Daniel read the note twice. Then Claire appeared in the doorway. I thought you might appreciate knowing you're no longer my emergency contact. Daniel grinned. I was starting to worry that came with the promotion. Claire laughed. Then she looked at the family photo on his desk. Lily was missing one front tooth. Noah was making a ridiculous face. Daniel stood between them with both arms around their shoulders. Claire nodded toward the picture there. Lucky Daniel looked at it. So am I. That evening, Daniel came home at 5:12. The moment he opened the door, Noah ran toward him. Dad. Daniel caught him. What happened? Nothing then. Why are you running? I missed you. Daniel hugged him tightly. Lily called from the kitchen. Dad, I need help with homework. Daniel closed his eyes for half a second. He smiled. There had been a time when hearing another problem at the end of a long day felt heavy. Now he understood something different. One day, the apartment would be quiet. One day, Noah wouldn't run toward the door. One day, Lily wouldn't need help with homework. These exhausting little moments were not interruptions to his life. They were his life. Daniel walked into the kitchen. All right, what are we working on? Fractions. Daniel stopped. Actually, maybe call your teacher. Lily laughed. Noah climbed onto a chair, and in a small apartment above a noisy laundromat, 3 people sat around an old kitchen table laughing together. They weren't wealthy, their problems hadn't disappeared, but they had something money could never guarantee. They had each other. And across town, Claire Bennett was having dinner with her sister for the first time in years. All because one frightening evening forced 2 people to see each other differently. A boss finally saw the father behind the employee, and a struggling single dad discovered that standing by someone in their weakest moment can sometimes open a door no amount of ambition ever could.